What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. Logan Paul has something big to say, but what is it? Join us now as we look at this week's edition of Smackdown, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including MJF Engaged, Logan Paul challenges Roman Reigns, Elias returning, Sasha Banks spotted, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out Wrestlelamia.co.uk and our non-wrestling channel, Incredible. But as always, we won't recap the show, but just look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good as number 1, Paul Heyman is back. Logan Paul's announcement that he's having a press conference about Crown Jewel, more about that in the news, got the fans pumped up, but perhaps not as much as Paul Heyman returning after being written out with his storyline injury at SummerSlam. Heyman was in rare form as he initially kissed up to Paul, then began trash-talking the YouTuber turned wrestler for daring to mention Roman's name. Paul's response that he bet he could knock Heyman out before Sikoa got to him was a good way to show Paul refusing to be intimidated by the bloodline, as in Logan Paul. Number 2, every match tells a story. Last night's Smackdown featured more than a selection of random matches. While Ricochet vs Sami Zayn may have seemed like another meaningless match for Ricochet, it told the story of Sami Zayn and Jey Uso's contempt for each other. It also gave Madcap Moss a chance to play hero, helping fight off the bloodline after Ricochet's win and setting up their later match against Solo Sikoa. Many of last night's matches seem to mean something, and even better, what happens in one segment often sets things up for another segment. Number 3, Shotzi turns babyface. Raquel Rodriguez's quest to get revenge on Bayley for costing her and Elias their women's tag team championship failed, but the match did give the WWE the opportunity to turn Shotzi face. Shotzi hasn't been on Limbo in the Blue brand, but she hasn't been doing anything of note. Her babyface turn offers a chance for her to bring her Tank back for her entrance, and rumor has it that Tank is coming back, and more importantly get her career moving somewhere. Number 4, Karrion Kross cuts another powerful promo. Karrion Kross didn't just look the part of a cold, calculating predator, he talks the part. Listening to Kross, you can't help but feel a sense of pity for his opponents, and perhaps even a fear as he makes it sound like no one is safe from his wrath. Number 5, anything but damage control. Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky have made it abundantly clear that the anything but damage control is anytime they're around, it's all-out chaos and trouble for the WWE's babyfaces. Putting the belts on Kai and Sky is likely only the beginning for the faction, and it'll be interesting to see if Bayley challenges Liv Morgan or Bianca Belair for their respective women's championship. Number 6, Drew fired up. Drew McIntyre calling Karrion Kross out was a perfect way to follow up on Kross's ambush on the Scottish Warrior from last week. McIntyre dared Kross to challenge him face to face, refusing to back down and showing the toughness that has made him popular as a babyface despite some weak booking on SmackDown. This is a great way to tease their eventual face-to-face confrontation and subsequent match. And a fresh matchup. Last night's Fatal 4-Way Tag match was a breath of fresh air as it had some relatively new names vying for a shot at the Undisputed Tag Team Championship. It's always good to see the New Day, but it was even better to see Hit Row, Ludwig Kaiser, and Giovanni Vinci, and the Brawling Brutes in action. Whether you enjoy Triple H's new direction or you don't, it's obvious he's trying to create fresh matches for the fans rather than the same wrestlers fighting ad nauseum. But that was the good. What about the bad is number 1, your basic Braun booking. Hats off to Triple H and WWE Creative for showing they're equally inept at booking Braun Strowman as the old regime was. While it's fun to watch Strowman smash things up, watching the Monster Among Men laying out tag teams 2 weeks in a row is not only as basic as it gets, but as boring as it gets. Don't hold your breath waiting for something big to happen with Braun, as his return suggests Triple H has already brought wrestlers back and that he has no long-term plans for. Well, we hope we're wrong, but so far Strowman's return has been a dud. Number 2, the Liv Morgan monotone monologue. Speaking of basic, Liv Morgan's promo against Ronda Rousey was weak in its delivery and weak in how it was written. As we pointed out before, Morgan has nothing to brag about when it comes to her second win over Rousey, and her first win was thanks to a Money in the Bank cash-in. Again, unless Morgan is turning heel, her boasts against Rousey are kinda pointless. The only interesting part about Morgan's Extreme Rules against Rousey is whether Morgan wins. If she does, it's gonna take a miracle to make Rousey look good in defeat. Maybe the WWE should see if Morgan knows how to use a front loader. That way they can come up with a plausible way for Morgan to win and bury Rousey literally and figuratively. And number 3, the same old Smackdown. Smackdown still needs room to improve. Although Triple H is introducing new faces and trying to get them over, it's difficult to ignore that status quo isn't changing. First, Roman Reigns isn't going to lose his Undisputed Championship in the near future. They might as well set up a revolving door for his challengers. Likewise with the Usos, as it's highly unlikely the Brawling Brutes will defeat him, and much more likely Imperium will interfere in their match. Smackdown isn't bad, but it's missing something that makes it stand out. Whatever that is, Triple H hasn't found it, or he's unwilling to shake things up dramatically to try a new approach. I was nothing downright ugly about last night's show, and it's good to see Triple H making it seem like something new is going to happen. The problem, of course, as we've mentioned, is that nothing new is actually happening, and fans are going to catch on soon that SmackDown may have a good roster, but they're not doing anything that stands out. What do you guys think of the blue brand this week? Let us know in the comments down below. Now let's move on to the news. Our first story looks at Logan Paul to challenge Roman Reigns. Atop of today's news is a story that shows that while wrestling has its share of wild rumors, some of them do come true. In this case, the rumor that YouTuber Logan Paul was going to wrestle Roman Reigns has panned out. They began the angle on Smackdown and is expected to formally announce the match at a press conference in Las Vegas. While there has been no confirmation on where the match will take place, it's believed they intend to hold it at November's Crown Jewel. Next up, is it time to walk with Elias? Is Elias returning to WWE? Well, based on a report from PW Insider, it sounds as if the WWE Universe will get another chance to walk with Elias as the Drifter returns to WWE. PW Insider reported, Ezekiel is no longer listed internally on WWE's roster, PWInsider.com has confirmed. The character was replaced last week with his original persona, Ezekiel's older brother Elias. It would appear that, as many of you suspected, that when that time comes, the Elias character will be returning to the Raw roster, while Ezekiel, who was written out due to injuries, will fade into the darkness. Next up, MJF Gets Engaged. Cupid's arrow has found its mark as AEW megastar MJF has got engaged. However, wrestling Salt of the Earth had better watch out, as his own mother warned him if he breaks up with his fiancée, she's keeping her and ditching him. Always staying in character, MJF reportedly told his lady lover that she's the luckiest girl in the world after she said yes. Although MJF is engaged, he made it clear that women shouldn't strive for greatness. Ladies panicking on my TL, don't worry. Just because there's a goalie doesn't mean you can't score. Strive for greatness. While MJF isn't discouraging would-be paramours from going broke, MJF's mother issued this warning to her son. It's about having time you're in the news for doing something decent. If you ever break up, we're staying with Naomi. We'd like to congratulate MJF and his fiancée on their news. Next up, the real reason the Viking Raiders were MIA. Why didn't the Viking Raiders participate in SmackDown's Fatal 4-Way Tag match? After all, Eric and Ivar have been tearing things up on the blue brand and arguably should have wrestled in the match instead of the New Day. Regrettably, the injury bug has struck again, and this time with Eric suffering a foot injury. Michael Cole informed the fans and gave the bad news that Eric is expected to be out indefinitely. This isn't the first time the Raiders have been sidelined with an injury, and it's even worse since the two Titans have been on a roll following their heel turn. We send our best wishes to Eric for a fast and full recovery. Next up, music hinting at a returning WWE superstar. Did the WWE tease the return of our former superstar when it played Jefferson Airplane's classic hit White Rabbit during a commercial break on SmackDown? Well, Paul Davis commented, this has led to speculation that WWE has paid for the rights to use the song for a new and returning star. Bray Wyatt's name has been in the news of late after it was reported that he had talks with WWE about a possible return, and there are other surprises planned in the coming weeks and months. However, it seems more likely that the song is for Karrion Kross because he was known as the White Rabbit when he was in Lucha Underground. And finally, Sasha's Star Wars wardrobe crisis. Last but not least, Sasha Banks spotted. Sasha Banks has been keeping busy during her absence from the WWE, including a recent photo shoot where she modeled as part of the hype for Disney Plus's upcoming series Star Wars Andor. However, the gig didn't go without an incident as Banks revealed her original outfit went off into the Outer Rim after an Uber driver took off with it. Thankfully, the designer was able to put something together that Banks definitely showed off in style. But there you have it, folks, the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below. I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.